Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Nice to see you, Debbie. You love my FHA training so much you came back. Okay, so for everyone that's here, we're going to talk all about FHAs today. So I'm super curious, who's handled an FHA short sale on the list side? Have you gotten it closed? And then what about buy side? So I've done, I don't love when my buyers make offers on short sales, to be honest. And I don't take on a ton of buyers. So I've done hundreds of FHA short sales. So today's going to be a really great training. Debbie, I know that you've closed some FHA short sales too. Fun times. Um, nope, not yet, Marilyn. Okay, great. I just rather you be honest because then I can kind of tailor the presentation towards that. If there's any questions, please just ask. No question is silly or stupid. I would rather you understand this FHA process than not, because you're only doing yourself a disservice and your clients when you don't understand whether it is the buy side or the sell side. So today we're mostly going to be talking about the sell side, but if you do have questions on the buy side, just let me know. All righty. I see some familiar. Hey, Ed, how are you? Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go ahead and get started. Everyone hear me okay? All righty. So FHA, lots and lots of fun stuff for today. So this is what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about really the FHA short sale blueprint, and then the essential documentation checklist, which is going to vary depending on the lender, but there is just a general guideline behind that. And then for me, this is what I feel like the three biggest mistakes are and really how to avoid them as an agent. So if you're looking to take on this niche of distressed sales and short sales, you really should surround yourself with a community who understands the ins and outs. That may not be your broker. Your broker may try to discourage you from, taking on these deals because you can't make any money or they're too hard. Both of those are false, okay? Um, but yeah, you do want to surround yourself with the right people. Oh yeah, I know, Debbie. So I have two going on right now. They just got approved. So fun times. It really wasn't that bad. And it's not that bad because like we know how to navigate through and we can ask those questions and stuff. So I believe that what I'm doing inside of my coaching community, hey Katrina, is really unique and there's not anything else out there like this. So I did a full-blown like hour and a half training just on FHAs in the group. And so this is going to be like a sneak peek of that. So again, feel free to ask any questions that you have, and I'll make sure I'll keep track of the time and stuff. So this is what we're going to go over today. And you can either unmute yourself or post your questions. So let's talk about FHA. Now, I like flowcharts. I think they're easy to explain. It's just a really great visual, especially for families that just don't quite understand the process. So this is the FHA flowchart that I created a while back. And so we're going to review that. We'll probably be on this slide for a little bit of time just because I want to make sure you guys understand the process. So in an FHA short sale, there is a two-part approval process. That is just how it is. There is no way around that. So just make note, it's two parts, okay? So FHA, do you want to keep your home? All right. Let's say, what is everyone telling? If you're marketing to homeowners right now, Debbie, Katrina, what are they telling you? Yes, I want to keep the property. Everyone is saying that, okay? So if it's a no, you should do a little happy dance because you could probably convert them right away. But it is very common these days, post-pandemic, that everyone is saying yes because they've been bailed out so many times, okay? So just run with it, okay? So let's just say that someone had called and they're like, yes, I want to keep the home. All right. Well, it may be a no right now, But it's may not be a no forever. So that's where a follow-up plan is going to be so crucial with this. Okay. There's some people that I've spoken to for 2 months. Sometimes it's 2 years. So I just continue to keep in touch with them. Okay. So yes, I want to keep the property. So they're going to have to do a loan modification. You have to be very careful and inform them that there's a lot of bad people out there that will take advantage of their situation. It's just how it is. It's so wrong. And hopefully karma will come back and bite them and you know what later, but it's there. So just let them know that because their brains are not operating properly. They just so desperately want to keep their house and they'll just hear whatever they want to hear and whether they feel it's good or bad. Okay. They just want to keep the house. So help them through that process. You don't need to do the loan mod. In fact, I do not recommend it at all. Okay. Could they hire a loan modification company? They could, but they're going to charge them thousands and thousands of dollars. I had a client that closed, I had to end up doing a short sale. She tried to do a loan mod. They took $7,500 from her. So just be very, very aware of that. Let these homeowners know that they can complete a loan modification on their own. Okay. It's a lot of work and they got to continue to call the banks and stuff, but that is the reality. They can complete it on their own. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's really sad. But I do think the other flow charts are working pretty well. Okay, so step number 1, have them call their bank and ask for that loan modification packet, okay? So they're going to fill the packet out and they want to they need to make sure it's complete and going through and making sure that the bank that they have everything that the bank is requesting. Pay stubs, whatever it may be. Yeah, so that's a good comment, Debbie. You can, so like I don't, and I know you don't either, Debbie. But we don't take on the loan mods, but I do like to help them and hold their hand and guide them. So yes, you can offer to review the loan modification package just to make sure it's right. You know, pre-pandemic, these loan mods, I feel like they weren't getting approved. Now they're tending to get approved, but then these people end up in the same cycle because they can't really keep the property. So eventually something's going to give, and FHA delinquencies are on the rise. I am seeing it. I am a nerd when it comes to data. They are rising, okay? Whether they have the equity or not, it's there. So it's really good to have this knowledge. Okay, so then they're going to submit everything. And you can help guide them with that. Like you may have the loan, the fax number, or email, or wherever they have to send it for their bank. And then they're going to follow up. Okay, I recommend to them to call twice a week. In fact, I'll even like sometimes send them text reminders. Okay. I keep track of all of this in my Google Calendar. So if you have some sort of online calendar, just keep track of all that. So I put in, when they called, if they have an auction, the status of where they're at, and the communication that I have. Okay. So then they're going to find out whether the loan mod is denied or accepted. Hey, Win. So if the loan mod is denied, well, they're still going to be in denial. And they'll probably want to try to resubmit for another loan mod. Okay, well, let's figure out why this loan mod was denied. Was it because they really can't afford it? If that's the case, it ain't going to work again. If it was denied because they were missing paperwork, okay. We don't want to push these people. We want them to do all of their due diligence so that they know in the end the only option left is to work with us. They'll appreciate that more. So if the loan mod was, we're going to start here. If it was accepted, they'll start it's like a 3-month trial. Okay. And then after that, they'll be able to stay in the home. Well, this is what I'm seeing right now. I just spoke to a guy. Was it last week already? No, last week was spring break, 2 weeks ago. And it was actually live in the coaching group. And he has an FHA mortgage. He's already had 2 loan modifications. And he's owned that property since, I think, 2021. And the bank has said that they would offer him a third modification. Here's the problem with that. He can't afford it. So why is HUD continuing to approve these loan mods? I don't know. Something wacky to me is going on. Free loan modifications. Do you know what happens? And Debbie, don't answer this, or Win or Katrina or anyone in the coaching community. Do you know what happens when, let's say, so my client, let's just say he's $50,000 behind and the bank says, yeah, I'll give you a loan modification. What happens to that $50,000? Anyone know? It's okay if you don't know. That's why you're here, because I'm going to teach you. So, sort of, Maryland. When you get approved for an FHA loan modification, they will send out all this paperwork that has to get notarized. Number one, the sellers have no clue what they are notarizing or signing. They just do it because why? They want to keep the house. So they put that $50,000 on the title of your property as a partial claim. So it's like a second mortgage, okay? But it is called a partial claim. So you must, when you're working with someone that, has an FHA mortgage, ask them if they've done a loan modification. If you don't, then you shouldn't be taking on these deals. Why? Because guess what? That partial claim is going to be on the title, and you may think, oh, it's an equity sale or a traditional sale, and then you pull title and you see a partial claim. I had a client once that was 100% certain that she had equity in her house, and I asked these questions, have you done a loan modification? And she said yes. Her partial claim was $60,000. That gets paid first in a short sale situation or an equity sale situation, okay? Always paid first. And because of that, she didn't have equity. But these FHA homeowners have no clue what they are signing. That is what they're signing. They're signing a partial claim. It goes on the title. There's no way around it. They will not negotiate it. They will not take a short. It is paid first in a short sale situation or equity. Whew. Okay. Hello, Stacy. How are you? All right. Yes, there'll be a recording. We always record it. Hey, Geraldine. Yeah. So it's there when you're taking on this niche, it's not hard. You just have to have a good system in place. And a part of that system is asking specific questions so you know how to properly navigate the deal. And FHA, it is complicated, if you're not used to it or you're a part of community that can really help walk through it. But when someone gets a loan mod, so in the case of my guy right now, he's going to have 3 loan mods, 3 partial claims. All of those would be paid in any scenario when he goes to sell. It gets paid first. Okay. Just post questions. If that's confusing, please post. I would be happy to answer them. Okay. So that was when the loan mod's accepted. Now, if the loan mod is denied, again, let's figure out why it was denied. They certainly could try again if it's, paperwork or whatever. But remember, time is crucial. Does a loan mod or a short sale stall things a little bit? Yeah, it does, slightly. But time is never on anyone's side when they're facing these situations, okay? So I would keep track. I always try to keep track of all of the people. Like right now, I'm talking to like a dozen people just from not this flow chart. We have another flow chart. And so every week I just log in and try to keep track of the case, because you never know. They don't know when another date's going to get set. Okay. So if it was denied, then they can proceed with a short sale. So that is where you want to stay in communication. Okay. So, if they do want to try again and it was denied because of income, it's not going to go through again. It's just not, Okay, so that's the yes side. Now, if it is a no side, so you talk to someone, they're like, yeah, no, I get it. I don't want to keep the property. Okay. Then they're going to want to hire a short sale expert or specialist. Okay. If you're not sure how to take these on, please don't do it and take it on because you're going to get yourself and your homeowner in a pickle. And we don't want them to go to foreclosure. That's their future. So the question that you want to ask again, if they say no, have you done a loan modification in the past? You still want to ask that because if they say yes, you're going to then know that the partial claim is on title. You want to review title. And if there is a partial claim, we can help you get a payoff for the partial claim. Okay? Doesn't take long, but there is a little bit of a process behind that. If they've already done a loan mod, then they're able to proceed right away with a short sale. Okay? If they have not done a loan mod, you can still list it as a short sale, but once you get an offer, they are required, whether the property is vacant or not, to go through a loan mod first. Okay? Freddie Mac's like that too. That's just how it is. Okay? Oh well. It's just part of the process. Okay? So you're going to go through all that. It's called the waterfall process. Okay? So two parts of the approval. That is how FHA short sales work. So you have this offer, right? And they've already done a loan mod. Great. It's going to go straight through to short sale. But you have to call and request, to get set up a short sale. If they have not done the loan mod, they're going to do the loan mod. You're going to have the offer. The loan mod's going to come back denied. If it's denied, you request to have it set up immediately as a short sale. Boom. Okay. If the loan mod gets approved, then you obviously have to tell your sellers, but your sellers have already said, no, I don't want to keep the property. So that is where they can sign an opt-out letter. Okay. We do have those. It's just a simple letter. And then they would send it into the bank. You would send it into the bank and then they would accept it and then set it up as a short sale. Okay. Once an FHA short sale is set up, the process really isn't that lengthy, in my opinion. I feel like the loan modification process is what takes forever. But again, no ways around it. So once a short sale is set up, the bank is going to order an appraisal. Sometimes they also order a BPO. BPO stands for Broker's Price Opinion, but they're going to order that appraisal. Okay. So it's really, really crucial that that appraisal comes back as close to that offer price as possible because of the way FHA approves these deals. Okay. So crucial. So if you're in a state like Debbie and I are in the state of Illinois, whoo, property taxes are crazy. So for us to try to get to that net amount, it's really, really hard. So Eric's asking the loan mod time. To me, I know it's all FHA and HUD, but it really depends on the bank, I think. Some work a little bit faster. I would say a couple of months, maybe less. I had one just recently that took like 30 days, but that's the good news for us. They have gotten better about it post-pandemic, in my opinion. Okay. But FHA short sales, they do take time, but the whole point is to continue to build that pipeline and go through the process. And then eventually you have that pipeline where you're closing deals every single month and you don't have to worry. Okay. So they get the appraisal and it will take a couple of weeks for that appraisal to come back because it is going to go through a quality control process. Okay. So once you get the appraisal back, the bank will tell you the value. So make sure you ask if you are not calling the bank consistently and following up throughout this process. Wrong. You have to call. Okay. A lot. Once that appraisal is back, then the bank will issue an ATP. That is the first part of the approval process. ATP stands for approval to participate. It's a one-page document. Your sellers will have to sign it. The last two that I have done, they will not allow electronic signatures. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to get wet signatures. Okay. On the ATP, it will tell you the appraised amount and it will tell you the net. Okay. That is where it gets very tricky with FHA. There is no negotiating a net. So day 1 through 30 on the market, it's 88% of the appraised value. Okay. So let me just get out my handy dandy calculator. Let's say the appraised value is 350. 88% of that is 308,000. That is what the bank has to net. If you're below that, it's going to be denied. Day 31 through 60, it could go down to 86%, and then anything after day 60 would be 84. That is all stated in the ATP, okay? So then you have an ATP and it's like, all right, well, you have to get an offer, by this time. Well, at this point, you already have an offer. I know it's kind of backwards, but once they have that statement, and the statement is has all the fees that FHA will approve or not approve, you got to take those off. And the net is meeting that requirement, they will send it off for the approval letter. Okay. And it will be approved. Then you will get the approval letter, which will be good for, 30, 45 days. Okay. Then you can proceed with closing. Does that flow chart make sense? Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or post. So let me give you a quick scenario. I had a recent deal and the appraised value is 302. We got an offer for 300 and we were able to make the numbers work because my seller did not qualify for relocation assistance because the property was vacant. Okay. So I couldn't make it work with the first buyer because the agent was dead set on me asking the bank for a credit and that she wanted me to submit something that was below that 88% net. So I kindly said, hey, let's pick up the phone and have a conversation. If you've been on these Zooms before, you know that I love to teach people, agents, these short sales, okay? So I just said to her, I said, look, I would love to educate you, okay? Have you done an FHA short sale on the list side? And she was like, yeah, I have. Well, obviously she hasn't because I asked her these questions and I'm like, this is an FHA short sale. And all she kept saying was, my client's not getting FHA. And I said, no, has nothing to do with your client. My client, my seller has an FHA mortgage. And there is a process behind that. The appraisal, which I gave you a copy of, was 302,000. We are able to make this work at 300 and still net the bank that 88%. And they could not wrap their head around that 88%. Okay. So just keep that in mind because there's no way around that. Now, could you go and ask HUD for a variance? Sometimes you have to when it comes to like the partial claims. They meaning the negotiator for the bank has to submit to HUD, hey, there's a partial claim on this title. We need a variance to allow this to get paid first. That is normal. But these variances aren't, you can't just go in and ask for a variance. Hey, buyer doesn't want to pay, 88%, right? So I ended up putting it back on the market as an approved short sale. We got what we wanted, and now it's moving towards approval. Okay. So just don't waste your time. I tried to help her and explain that to her so she would be able to explain it later on to her buyers and sellers. It just didn't work. All righty, let's move on. So documentation. This is going to be pretty typical for even like loan mod. So the loan mod packet is actually the same as a short sale packet. It just depends on what you check. So again, this is going to vary a little bit differently. So like the last two FHA short sales, it was slightly different than this, okay? But in all of my years of doing these deals, this is typically what FHA will want, okay? So you're always going to need an authorization. The authorization is going to allow you to speak on your seller's behalf. You do not want them calling the bank. Nope, process ain't going to be good when you do that. You want to be in full control of the process, okay? 60 days of pay stubs. So in a traditional short sale, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, depending on the lender, it's usually only 30, but FHA will require 60. They also will require 3 months versus 2 months of bank statements. And make sure those bank statements are all pages, not just there's like those screenshots. It's got to be, if there's 6 pages, 1 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 6, and so on. Okay. And then the tax returns, 2 years, that's the same, signed and dated. Hardship letter. So be careful with that. You always want to review the hardship letter. There have been instances with FHA short sales that the hardship letter, they wanted proof of what happened. I haven't seen that in a little while, but that's a real pain. And then there's always going to be a mortgage assistance or short sale packet, loan mod, some loss mitigation packet. They kind of say it's like a financial form, and they'll have to fill that out. That's where you want to make sure that everything's done properly and filled out accordingly, and then a 4506T. Not every single bank has the same application either, so that's where it's like, oof. Good news, we already have all that, most of the applications, and they do change from time to time. But yeah, this is essentially the documentation that you'll need. Questions on that? So good question, Marilyn. So I love negotiations, love them. But I'm very, very clear up front with my sellers. In fact, over the years, my attorneys created an indemnity agreement, and inside of the coaching community, you do have access to that. Okay, it's a couple-page document, basically stating that we are not there's no guarantees. It is always going to be up to the lender in the end whether they say yes to a short sale. Have I had issues in the past? Not really. These banks don't want to take these houses back, right? In that indemnity agreement, it also talks about relocation, that there is no guarantees, we cannot negotiate it, and we really don't know whether they're going to get it until almost the end of the process. So you want to make sure that your sellers still want to do this, whether they get the relocation or not. So, FHA, if the property is vacant, they ain't getting no relocation assistance. I still ask for it. The how you ask for it is on the statement. Okay. So I'm happy to review those statements. I want to make sure that everything is running smoothly for you guys. So yeah, I review statements all the time for everyone. So if it is vacant, ain't happening. Okay. So if they are still in the property, then it's likely that they will get it. However, there have been times where I've had these really huge partial claims and they've said no because of the large partial claims. So we don't know. So like, for example, the 2 FHAs that I just got approved, one is still living there. She's getting 3,000. The other one is vacant. He is not getting 3,000. And then the guy that I spoke to a couple weeks ago, he has 3 partial claims if this loan modification gets approved. So my guess is if we ever were to do a short sale, I don't think he would get it. So you just have to be very clear with your sellers up front that it's not something that you can negotiate. They either qualify or they don't, and we won't know right away. Does that answer your question clearly, Marilyn? You're welcome. Okay. So 3 biggest mistakes. And I have been doing these for a long time, and I've spoken to thousands of agents. And, like I said, I really do like to help, but, just be honest with me. I've had agents call me before and be like, look, Heather, I have no idea. I've never even done a short sale. Great. Let me explain it to you. Okay. But FHA is so different than Freddie Mac, than Fannie Mae, than VA. Okay. So biggest mistake number 1 is agents take on these deals and have no clue how to actually help the homeowners. I know we all want deals, okay? My biggest advice is to pick a niche that you love, that you have passion for. Maybe it's first-time home buyers, maybe it's expired, maybe it is short sales, and run with it. So many agents are literally all over the place. Oh, my managing broker told me to, start a networking group or post on social media. If that's what you love, then great. But don't take on these deals unless you have a team in your office, a managing broker, or you're a part of community that understands how to help you. Okay. Because if you do that, you could potentially not know what's going on. And then these sellers go to foreclosure. How do you have to call them then and say, it went to foreclosure because I really didn't know what I was doing? So either one, learn the process and make sure you're a part of a community, or two, hand it off to another agent. So Debbie has spoken, around the area to other offices about how she can help um, agents take on their short sales, and then she just gives a referral fee. Thanks, Debbie. So yeah, that's number one. That's a huge one for me. It just it bothers me. So I'm happy to help, but at least know what is going on, because there's never going to be one deal that's ever the same, even with FHA. Okay. Biggest mistake number two is agents do not fully understand the two-part FHA approval process. Okay. I know I vaguely went over it here, but again, there's two parts. ATP, approval to participate. There's a lot of agents that then stop at that process and they try to go to close, and the title company's like, oh, I need the approval letter. They're like, I already gave you the approval letter. No, that is the ATP. That approves your seller into the short sale program. Okay. Then you have to submit the statement meeting those net requirements and the contract to get the approval letter. Okay. Then the approval letter, it will have like a deadline to close and all the numbers, what they're paying, yada, yada. Okay. So it is a process, and that's, most agents don't understand that process, or, the questions to ask and stuff. Okay. And then the biggest mistake number three is, unaware of the time frame. So when someone is in foreclosure, whether you are in a judicial state or non-judicial state, time is never going to be on your side. So there are instances where, you have to get a packet in before that 37-day deadline. And what is that exactly? So let me give you an example. The property that I just got approved, it's closing May 2nd. It came from our marketing, Debbie. Okay, hold on. It's FHA. She's getting 3,000. They contacted me, I think in January, and their auction was in February. It was really, really close. So we got it on the market right away. We got an offer. I submitted everything, clean, concise packet. Boom. It was within that 37 days. It was like 34. And I was able to get, because the packet was complete, I was able to get that postponed. So one of our biggest lead sources is families that have an auction because they think there's nothing else that they can do. And it's a little bit more of a complicated case, but it works for us. Okay. So questions on those mistakes or comments?
If I could just jump in. So biggest mistake number three, agents unaware of the time frame. You mean to a foreclosure sale date? Is that what that mistake number three is?
Yeah, so I would say time frame, it could be a couple of different things. So yes, the 37 days, we all know that people are in denial, so they are tending to wait the very last minute. And so you want to make sure that it's before that 37 days to get a whole entire packet submitted. Now, if it's like, the auction's in 2 weeks or whatever, then there's other options that we can look at to postpone that date. But those are, you have to be kind of experienced to understand those. And then in general, whether someone is 30 days late or they have an auction date in 30 days, the FHA timeframe is more lengthy than, a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac. So that's where agents are unaware of that time frame because yes, they have to go through the loan mod, which takes time, and then they got to do the short sale. So just be aware of the time frame, I guess is what I'm saying. Got it, Debbie?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's move on. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a little bit of the coaching community now. And so all of you, well, some of you are in my coaching community, but my free group, BluePrint Short Sales for Real Estate Agents, it's been going on now for almost 3 years. Our 3 years will be this summer. So I know a lot of you have been here for a long time. So I guess for me, I love that. I love that you're being consistent and coming with these trainings. If that is you, you absolutely would be perfect for the coaching community. Look, I would be happy if we have some time at the end to look up some of your guys' foreclosure numbers in your area. If you have auction dates, you should be sending auction date letters in our flow charts every single week. So, maybe I guess what I'm saying is like, imagine if you would have started, 3 years ago or 2 years ago or a year ago, where you could be now. There's never, ever going to be a good time to start anything. But I guess for me, my biggest advice is whether you take on short sales or not. I've seen so many agents lately struggling because they are not focusing on like one or two things. So whatever the niche is, just pick it and run with it. If it's short sales, I would love for you to come and be a part of our awesome, awesome community. Okay. I know that you'll have success if you are taking the time and dedicating the time to learn and join the trainings and all that. But most importantly, whatever niche you pick, make sure you give yourself patience and grace. Okay. So Stacy, it really doesn't matter whether you're non-judicial or judicial. The process for the short sale is all done the same way. Properties, so like here in the state of Illinois, it has to go through the court system. Those are a more lengthy process, so families know that they can stay in the property a little bit longer. Areas like Texas, there's not as many pre-foreclosure statuses because they go quickly to an auction status because they don't have to go through the courts. Okay. So whether you're judicial or non-judicial, doesn't matter. We can still help you navigate through all of that. Okay. And I can look up some numbers too if you guys want in a few minutes. All right, so it is $20 a month to join our coaching community. There's no long-term commitment, so if you decide you hate us, I don't think you will, then you can cancel at any time. But it's really, so why would you pay $20 a month to be a part of our community? One, when you start taking on these deals, where are you going to go to ask questions? Your managing broker? If that person knows how to do them, great. If they don't, where are you going to go? This is where you would go. Okay. You would go here and ask all of these questions. And that's what people do. They come here and they start asking questions, right? So like, here's Jackie. She asked a question. There's Carrie. So you would come here to get your questions answered. It is 24/7 support. Okay. You have access to all the members. You have access to me. There's also almost 3 years worth of past trainings in this group. Everything is recorded. And then you would have access to all documentation, the authorizations, the packets, that indemnity agreement I was talking about, and then also any current trainings. So right now, every single Tuesday, we are talking about bankruptcy, and we have since the beginning of January. We're going through the bankruptcy course. I would love, once you are a member, to have a quick call or a quick Zoom to kind of look at your data, because I want to get you on the right track. Okay. So after you're a member, there are courses. There's 5 different courses that you would get 20% off. Okay. And here they are. Obviously, I'm big on the auction date and the bankruptcy. That is currently what I'm doing. Bankruptcy is my #1 lead source. My #2 is auction. But we've done trainings on how to, go to another office and speak and get those leads. Debbie loves that. Debbie doesn't love bankruptcy as much as I do, right? But that's where like building powerful attorney relationships. It doesn't have to be bankruptcy. It could be foreclosure defense. It could be divorce. It could be probate. So I would love to dive in deeper. I don't want to overwhelm you, but dive in deeper on how you can get consistent with sending out a mailer. Right now we are sending out our flow charts. They are awesome. They rock. And so how do we get that going? If there's auction data in your area, 100% got to do it. Okay, so questions on that? Actually, we're done. So I can look up data if you want. There's Debbie's holding up the flow chart. Yeah. So since we implemented, so I do have to admit it took me about a month probably until the phone started to ring with the new flow charts, but now I am getting calls every week. So my last call was yesterday. Yeah, exactly. So my managing broker comes to me too, Debbie. I love it. Stacy, do you have a question?
Hi, I just wanted to say hello. I'm finally on video. You're amazing. I just got on just a little while ago and I'm already totally intrigued.
Thank
I just-
you.
yeah, so I'm totally excited. I would, like to join. My niche is I do want to focus on this niche. I
Okay.
find that I've already had like two experiences and they ended up very, very well. So this is what I want to focus on. I just need more training. I need to actually, follow along your system with these mailers and just try to. I really like the auction, going after the auction.
Where are you located, Stacy?
In New York, New York.
What counties?
So basically, I do Queens and Long Island. I don't have a specific area, but I
Okay.
do all of Long Island and Queens.
Okay, so towns. Oh, Queens County.
Yeah, let's see. Queens County, for instance.
So I don't know. I just like to go off of, just in that one county, there's 461 auctions and 876 pre-foreclosures.
So the thing is, I find the houses and stuff. I started doing mailers, but I would like to also call. Unfortunately, we don't get them on the phone too often. When we do, they're very combative. They're not ready to listen to us. That's the problem. So I want to know technique as to how do I speak to them better. I follow up with them, but they're still not ready. They all know in New York that they can stay in the house for 10 years. They feel like they're not going to go anywhere. We just have to convince them that, well, in the long run, they will lose all the equity they have. Right now, we
Yeah.
can save their equity. In 10 years, you're not going to have any equity. You're facing a nightmare at that point. This is the mindset that I want to just, get them out of.
Yeah, so the flow charts that so in December we collaborated as a coaching community to come up with this flow chart. The flow chart is helping these families that are in a denial because
Okay.
what we don't want them to do is go to the internet and get all this bad advice. The flow chart are the only options available, whether you want to keep the property or sell the property, right? So you will have luck with those 100%. So Debbie just kind of raised hers and showed it a little bit, but I would do that and I would focus solely on sending the auction letters out. Those go out, Stacy, every single week. So you want to make sure you're sending them out every week. Why? Because, well, they needed our help like yesterday.
Okay.
So those will help. Now, as far as we're not big on calling. Okay, so here's the reason why. Could you call? Have we done it? Yeah, but you're exactly right. They get pissed off, they yell at you. So our goal and our mission is to send out these highly effective letters and flowcharts and have them call us. The conversation is a lot better. However, in this auction date lead generation blueprint, so if you remember, it's 20% off, but there is an optional text campaign in here. And so, which we did have a lot of success with, but you just have to be super careful with the texting, with all the rules and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm still scared to call. And to be honest, I get calls every single week, so I don't really have to do it. But there is in the auction date, as well as the bankruptcy course, an optional text campaign. So that includes what to say in the text, how to set it up, how are you pulling all the data from here, and so forth. So Yeah, did that kind of, go ahead,
Yeah,
Deb.
no, that's great. And that auction letter, is it something that you have, like that golden letter, the auction letter, or is it?
So
Uh,
in the auction course, there's uh, two different letters and a postcard that you can implement. I have used all of them and had success with all of them. Okay, so anything that I put out, I test first. Okay.
okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
right now, my team is sending the flow chart with the auction date letter. The auction date letter is more short sale focused.
Mm-hmm.
But in your case, if there's a lot of equity in your area, then I would send the equity letter. So it's very similar to the auction, except it's more, hey, don't lose your equity. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
simple, colorful letter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not boring. So I always ask people like, hey, what made you call from my letter? They're like, I don't know. There was just something about it. It was so different and unique. So,
Okay.
and then we have a postcard, which we were for a long time sending the postcards and then texting. And I got a lot of deals from that last summer, but I like the flow chart personally.
Okay. Okay. And you send the
Uh,
same letter every week? I'm sorry, and then I'll let everybody else. So you send the same letter every week, or you change it up? 1 week it's the postcard, the
Oh,
next week it's the letter.
so you
It,
can, but I like to send, because to save money, you buy in bulk, right?
yeah.
And it's the flow chart and the auction letter goes out
Awesome.
every single week. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If
Thank you.
Heather, if I could just jump in here for a second to answer Stacy's question, and I know we've talked about this in our group. When people do call me, they are getting inundated with all kinds of flippers and just people that want to, just steal the properties from them and all that. And I have had time and time and time again, people have said to me, your information is so different. I can tell you care about us and care about me. And
Mhm.
I've even been at a client's house when he's gotten a few of these calls. And I hear how angry he gets and everything. So I'm not trying to talk Stacy away from making phone calls, but just what comes through with the data that you have put together and that we've all collaborated on. It sets us apart as as people who are compassionate and care about them. And just for these people who are in your group, I've been doing short sales since 2009. And I really didn't need Heather's coaching program. So I thought I really just wanted to join because she's got some fabulous books that she's put together that have your picture on them and that you can print and all of that. And that's part of the coaching program. But what was important was I just wanted to do that to get those books. And then I joined, and I'm so happy that I joined because even though I've had a great deal of success helping people with short sales and equity sales, this just it puts a very different, even though I'm a compassionate person, the materials that we put out come across so genuine and heartfelt to these people who are in denial and who are stressed out. And
Yeah.
I think it's part of it is because, I mean, what really spoke to me about this stuff is when in 2009, when I broke my ankle and had to do a short sale, I mean, I was just so angry about the people that were trying to reach out to me and telling me, well, spray water on your floor so that the property looks more damaged, so we can get a better deal. I mean, just stuff that was so hurtful. And our stuff is so not like that. And I'm, like I said, I didn't feel like I needed the coaching program. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to suck it up and pay. And I bought the whole package, all the different systems. And I'm really glad I did. I think I've been with Heather for a couple of years. And I just, like I'm on here again today. I have a FHA going right now. And I didn't learn a lot of new things, but I did learn some new things today. So she's always updating things. And I encourage anybody that wants to be in this niche to be involved with people. I have new friends all over that help me. Sometimes we just work in the chat through Facebook and come
Mhm.
up with, how to do AI pictures and how to do this training and how to do that and whatever. And it's really, really worth, $20 a month is like, that's 2 cups of coffee. It's so worth it. To really build your business. So anyway, I'm going to get off after this because I do have to go to a meeting now, but I just encourage anybody. Heather's my competitor. We're in the same area.
Yeah, we are.
She's actually sold in my town, and I tease her because I walk by houses that are her short sales, and I told her she can walk by the ones that are in her town that are my short sales. But anyway, there's not a problem with that, and I just am really glad that I've joined this program. So,
Thanks,
Hi, Heather.
Debbie. It's always nice to see you. Good luck at your appointment.
Thank you.
I'll see you Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
Where do we sign up?
Okay, so here's the link. That's for the $20 membership. So, I would love to meet with you probably one-on-one afterwards, but I do think just from looking at your data, like for me, it's important to look at your data. And if you have enough auctions, 100% you got to do the auctions, which most people do, but some people have a lot more pre-foreclosure, which we also have a course for. But I would highly recommend the auction. So let's touch base after, Stacy, and either we can get you going with the auction, or I'd be happy to meet with you separately and we can, dive into the courses a little bit more. But there's my email as well. So, is that good? Do you see it?
I see it. I'm just gonna snap a picture of it so I can, because I know when I won't be able to save it. I
Oh, can
think.
you click on it?
Oh, I could, but then, okay, there it is. Yeah, hold on a
You should be
second.
able to click on it. If
Oh, yeah,
not,
perfect. Okay, I
you
see
all
it.
can send me an email, or you can also message me on Facebook. Here's my friend you can friend me too.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Here's my Facebook too. So email, Facebook is fine. All right, cool. Well, Stacy, look forward to having someone in New York helping those families.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I did have 2. I had a success with 2 pre-foreclosures. I called and I got the listings. We got them sold. One was fairly new. He didn't want to go through it. So he said, "Oh, you sound like an angel from heaven." He connected with my personality and it
Yeah,
worked right on the spot. The same thing with the other homeowner. We just sold that. It took quite some time, but it worked. I got it was a boot camp for me, that first one, but I'm really excited. I really want to focus on this.
that's awesome. Yeah, if you focus solely on it and you implement, say, I would do auction, and then if
Yeah,
you can, the bankruptcy, because
yeah,
bankruptcy for me is number one. Because when you start
mhm,
sending out the auction stuff weekly, people are going to need to do a bankruptcy, and you want to have
yeah,
a bankruptcy attorney in your back pocket.
yeah.
So that's my biggest recommendation. That's all I do, is build the relationships and the relationships that I have with these attorneys and send out a letter. And I do make 6 figures a year. So, um,
Awesome. All
all
right.
righty. Well,
I
I'll hang out
definitely
for a
want to be
couple.
with you.
What?
I definitely want to be after you, in your shadow for sure.
Yeah, follow it and you'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
But you have to put in the work. I can't fly to New York and strangle you, Stacy,
No,
and
no,
be like,
don't worry. I'll put
do
in the
the
work.
work. It's
I'll
super
put in the work.
easy, super step by step. Like I really try to make things like smooth and easy and simple. So,
Awesome. Great.
all right, we'll see you soon. And anyone else have any other questions?
Have a blessed weekend. How's your weather over there?
Hey, Win. It sucks. I'm really over
Yeah,
whatever's going on here.
I know we have snow, sleet, and rain right now.
I mean, it's just really cloudy here, but
Oh,
it
well,
was bleeding yesterday. Ugh.
yeah, well, be happy it's not worse.
I know, I know. I'm trying.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yes. Well, thank you for all the good information. Have a good weekend.
Okay, see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So Marilyn, when the sellers are referred to community modification services to help them, so you mean like a local group that kind of help them go through a loan mod? I'm guessing that's, and they're out there. Those, my biggest advice for you is to get involved with those community places. Maybe you're the go-to person when those people can't get any help, because not everyone's going to be able to get help. So like, for example, there's like a service that they do at a local church here, and they, anytime someone is facing foreclosure, they come to me. So there's so many different ways to get yourself out there. But as far as that, if they can't help them, then you regardless, you still want to put them on a follow-up plan, period, because it may be a no now, but it may not be a no a year from now, and you still want to be in front of all that, right? So if they can help them, great. Get involved with that community modification service. Give them all the resources, all these resources we have, these books that you would have access to. These are powerful for attorneys at community events because it is good information. So that's my advice for that. If they can't help them, then you could come in and help. So it's a win-win either way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had only one situation long ago when there were so many foreclosures going on where people would go to the modification communities and they would they'd be like deer in a headlight, deers in the headlights, and the people weren't explaining anything to them. And then they'd go all the way to court and everything, and their modifications weren't done, and it was a mess.
Yeah, it is like the community events, which I've done a lot of. It's a really great way, kind of a free way for you to get, your name out there. I mean, it does cost to have the books printed, but you don't have to get them printed. You could put a QR code and have people download them. But there's a lot of bad information out there, period.
Okay.
And so my biggest thing with this community is that I want to get out the proper information and relay that to you guys, so then you can give the proper information to your homeowners and the people in your community, because we want to make a difference in their lives. And it could lead to long-term business. So there's people that I've done short sales for 10 years ago, plus years ago, and they've come back, to buy with me or to sell with me or whatever. I mean, you're not going to be able to keep in touch with everyone because some of them are going to be crazies. Like the murder people I had, I didn't keep in touch with them. But there's so many different ways, and that's where the group is so great, because we're collaborating on, all of that. But I would go full force to try to get involved with this community modification. Hey, I would love to sit down, or come to these events or whatever they have. Like here, we do it like I think every Tuesday. And so you can go to them and just sit there, and if anyone needs help, you can give them, these resources, or really dive in. Like we have a 3-page financial questionnaire that, that's pretty much we use for scripts, because I hate scripts. I don't think someone facing foreclosure deserves a script, but they do deserve to get these questions answered. And the reason why is because that's going to help us prepare a game plan for them.
Okay, that's a big help. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Stacy, we can, set up something whenever. If you're like itching to, do it now, then I would 100%, do the auction, and then we could meet. So it's up to you. I'll reach out to you though.
Yes, okay, because right now, actually, I have to run on an appointment. So yeah, I would love to get started right away. I will definitely sign up.
Okay.
And then I guess maybe I'll email you and then you tell me what to do with the auction. Or is that the auction? I guess I'll go into your site and then pick. I don't even know. You have to tell
Don't
me.
worry about it. We got you. It's all step
Right
by
now I
step.
gotta run.
Yeah, so
All
just
right.
sign up, and then my team will approve you into the group, and then they'll tag you in a welcome where you can, go in and start everything. And then I'll reach
Awesome.
out and we can schedule a time to meet.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. It was a
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so I know there was a couple of people that just logged it on. We do meet at 11:30 a.m. Central, so we are already an hour in. It was a super great training. We did record it, so it'll be available tomorrow. Any other questions before we end? Alrighty, so I hope you have a blessed week. So inside of this group, we'll be back in 2 weeks. So not next Thursday, 2 weeks from now. So be on the lookout of what that training will be. I'm kind of going back and forth on a couple of different options, but if you do have something you would like me to touch on, feel free to reach out. So my email is info@blueprintshortsales.com, and I will see you all soon. You're welcome, Marilyn. Hope everyone has a blessed day.
Heather, this
Yes.
is Geraldine. I wanted to, I think I'm gonna talk to you afterwards,
Okay.
but I'm coming from the buyer's perspective
Sure.
because I have like over 100 people in my phone that's reaching out looking for foreclosed properties, or they may already have one.
Uh-huh.
And I love the way that you have your approach on the seller side, because that's what I'm not familiar with, is reaching out and how to connect with the seller regarding the homes that they send to me, or even just verifying if the house is under foreclosure. So property, I think that's the site you went to.
Yeah, Property
Property
Radar.
Radar, that's a location where I can go and just verify if the house is pending, because I don't
Yeah,
want to just reach out to them and and then it's a whole totally different story.
yeah. So here's a 5-day free trial if you want to test it out. But Property Radar is where we go and look up all the data. The problem with, for me, I don't take on buyers. I do fine with the listings. That's just my preference. But I've had buyers in the
Uh-huh.
past where they're like wanting to make offers on short sales. And so I would call the listing agent and ask a ton of these questions, and they have no clue what's going on. And then I just start to get pissed off because it's like,
Right,
okay, why are you taking on this deal? You have no idea what's going on, when I know, and I did the research that it's FHA, and so I do
right,
explain to my buyers, hey, this is how a short sale works, and give them the full analysis of everything, how it works, break it down. And then you say, well, I wish I could negotiate the short sale, but I'm not the listing agent. So there is a
right,
possibility that this listing agent has no clue that what's going on. So you have to be okay with that. And I will do everything in my power to get updates, but in the end, I'm not as confident because I'm not the one handling it. So I do
right.
explain all that to them, and then most of the time they're like, yeah, no, that's probably a no for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, in this case, these properties, I'm in Texas, I'm in Houston, Texas. So these property, and it's usually Missouri City, I've seen some Houston, different surrounding cities. But it's usually homes that are not working with an agent.
So why
They
don't you, Geraldine, why don't you send out, if you have all these buyers, why not start to send out letters and, get consistent with getting listings, and then get both sides of the commission?
And that's when I'm hearing you speak today, which I'm so glad I canceled my other meeting and attended yours, because I'm like, I think this is
Gosh,
more
that's
important
funny.
than that other one. So, and hearing you come at it from a seller's aspect makes more sense to me, because now I can see how to handle both sides of the table.
You
And
got to do listings, Geraldine. Listings are the way to go. They're less well, I mean, they're time consuming, but you're not running all over the place. And it sounds like you already have like a Rolodex of buyers that could probably scoop these
yes,
properties up. So you're
and
in a good spot.
I did this by accident. I signed up with this company and they told me, oh, we have a trial period. And I canceled after the 3 days because I didn't get any response. And this was back in November. Imagine, from November up until now, I've been receiving notifications on a daily basis. Maybe 4 or 5 people are reaching out. And I normally just deal with regular buyers, you know.
Uh-huh.
I would love to be just on the seller side, but I get it how it comes. And so now it's looked like I'm being pulled in this direction because of so many different types of leads that I'm receiving on a regular basis. So I'm learning to see how can I help these people and help the other side. So this kind of helps to open that window for me. But you're right. Me working both sides of the table would help to see a great benefit.
Yeah, you're like a perfect like scenario for what we're trying to do. So I would, if you can, I mean, you can email me. Do you have I mean, we can meet again, I guess is what I'm saying. If you want to dive
Right.
in, learn a little bit more about
I
the
do.
courses, and I can say, hey, Geraldine, this is your data. This is what I would recommend you to
Yes.
do. Then send me an email. Okay. It's
I already
info.
have you set up. Oh no, I already have the email ready. I
Okay.
just wanted to approach you because when you put your email, I copied that and opened it up. I have it ready to go out. Of course, I need to fill in the body part, but I just wanted to talk to you before you leave today and just kind of bring you to mind of who I am and why I'm reaching out to you so we can, you know, have some type of form of
Yeah. And what's
connection.
your last name?
Bradley, we
Bradley.
spoke
Okay.
once before. I talked to you about a short sale. It's been
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And you was like, oh, that's kind of sketchy what y'all trying to do, but it worked. We closed and it's over.
Oh,
And,
awesome. Yeah,
but
so send me an email, and make sure your phone number and stuff is in there because I usually will text afterwards just to make sure it didn't go to spam, and we can set something up so it's one-on-one and I can come up with a game plan for you.
absolutely.
Same with you, Suzanne. I know you're already
Yes,
in the coaching community, so if you're like, hey, I know I don't think you've gotten any courses, which is fine, totally fine. You don't have to, but if you want some guidance on that, you can send me an email as well. But yeah, the FHA, so we
talked
did
to
do a
my
full,
team lead.
what?
I was talking to my team lead about it. You know, I didn't tell him the full story because I'm sketchy about what I share to others.
Yeah.
So I told him a little bit and I said, well, I need to look up some, you know, foreclosed properties. And he said, well, I know how, but he said, go through hard. And I'm like, no, these are not the kind of properties I'm trying to look for. So I knew instantly he's not the one.
No,
So
no.
so I said, okay, I remembered you. I said, let me go. And I went to the website. I didn't see any videos in there, but I see you have a different Facebook account, which is coaching. I think I'm a part of the other BluePrint account that you have.
Yeah, the free
And
group probably.
yeah. And so I'm glad that I attended this because I feel confident with you. It's another lady I found on Facebook that has something, but I haven't really just talked to her, but I like this information you shared today. And plus you have a great record.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I do feel like, we have a lot of good stuff going on here. I mean, you heard Debbie speak, so
Right. And Debbie is the reason why I'm like, okay, I see. You know, because hearing it from someone else is always a plus.
yes.
That referral is nothing to play with when it comes to a referral.
You'll like it in the group. It's very exactly like how it was today, and it's fun, and it's just a really great environment for what we're trying to accomplish. So
Perfect. Okay, well, I ain't gonna take too much more of your time. We can talk about everything. I definitely want to get in on it quickly
okay.
because I don't want to hold off on these people because it's easy for them to come to me and then go to someone else.
Yes.
And
Well,
I want to,
once they come to you, they're not going to go anywhere else. That I do believe that with our system. So
okay, great.
so
Sounds
send
great.
me an email. I have to go to a quick appointment. It won't be long, and then I'll get back to you by the end of the day.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. I have appointments too. I'll be in and out today working with clients. So
Okay.
yes, if you reach out to me and I'm not available, I'll still respond, and then we can kind of match up on a good time.
Sure, that sounds great. Talk to
All
you
right,
soon.
take care. Enjoy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.